45 minutes later, I find myself where these commoners live. How degrading. You got this, Blake. There's no way she can turn you down. Besides, I've got the charm, the good looks, and an offer she can't refuse. I exit my car without the file and head towards the brown front door of the blue house. I'm about to knock when I hear the voice behind me. Who the hell are you? A bit startled, but playing it cool, I turned around to see a young, slim woman, brown skin, wearing a cream dress I bet was especially made to hold her curvy body. Her hair is in a tight curls and an updo afro with a flowered hair scarf wrapped around the hairline. Damn, I'm Blake Smith, and who might you be? I inquired, taking a step closer to her. That's none of your business. Now tell me, what are you doing here? She snaps at me full of attitude. Ooh, this got to be the cousin Ava. There's no way the pastor would carry herself like that. I came to speak to Isabella. So would you be a dear Ava and go fetch her for me? With daring eye, she takes several steps towards me until we are mere inch away from each other. Fetch her? Little boy, know your place? My ego should be feeling a bit bruised right now. After all, she just called me a little boy, and my charm seems to have no effect on her. Yet I find myself attracted to her. She walks away and begins knocking on the door, which soon opens, revealing another young woman who is dressed completely different from Eva. But she too has an attractive body, probably better than Eva's. I don't know. Somehow, a woman who is fully dressed always has my mind more curious to know her secrets. Ava, who is this? The woman questioned.
If you want more, you'll have to buy Ayana KSL's John's books. Hello, listeners. I am your host, Lana the Educator. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to my channel. Here we explore the latest educational trends, tackle pressing issues facing the education sector, and conduct insightful interviews with people making a difference. We also share stories of triumph and innovation from around the globe. If you're interested in all of this, then stay tuned. Our guest today is a literary force whose passion for storytelling began at the tender age of 8. Growing up in the hills of Zimbabwe, Laventille, she found her voice in poetry and songwriting, later channeling her creativity into novel writing at just 12 years old, a journey which she has never abandoned. With an unwavering dedication to the art of storytelling, Ayana made history on November 30th, 2024 by launching 10 books at once, marking a groundbreaking milestone in the literary world. Dubbed the Epic 10 book launch, this momentous achievement is a testament to her faith, perseverance, and deep love for writing. She credits her success to Jesus, recognizing that her journey has been guided by divine purpose. She is the creative mind behind the compelling young adult and children's literature series, including The Adventures of Duchess and the Unmasked series. Her works are available on Amazon with hard copies for dedicated readers who cherish physical books beyond the written page. She connects with her audience through YouTube, sharing insights, inspiration, and the heart behind her stories. Join me in welcoming Ayana KSL John. She is here to talk about her extraordinary literary journey, her inspirations, her triumphs, and the impact of her storytelling on readers worldwide. Welcome, Ayana.
Thank you so much, Miss Lana, for having me. It is a privilege.
Mm.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I was most impressed. I met Ayana at the recent Bocas Lit Festival, and
Yeah.
and being part of the crowd, a lot of people were really enraptured and captured by your reading of your excerpt from The Church is on the Move. So tell us about, your journey, your writing journey. I know that you started at 8 years old, but you've written both children and young adult literature. Why did you choose to work with those two genres?
Well, the journey started actually where my mother used to basically, when you're young, you find your parents a little, miserable. And
Mm,
I would think she used to basically torment me to read more.
hmm
And I find the books she gave me, they never really held my interest. It's basically a few books I used to read over and over, like Miguel Street,
mm,
Black Beauty, like those types of books I just used to read over again.
mm,
And it was so much. Like she said, Ayana, why are you busy watching TV? Pick up a book,
mm,
broaden your vocabulary, and on and on and on. And I just get fed up and I say, you know what? Since the books that I have not really like pushing me or motivating me to read them,
mm,
I will write my own.
mm,
So that's how I actually started writing books. But
mm,
I have always loved writing when it comes to poetry and songs. I do not know how to sing at all, but I just love to write music.
Right.
And as soon as I started writing books, which was Love and Drama, was the
Mm,
first series I've written.
mm,
And I wrote that at 11, 12. And
right.
after that, it just take off, just continue writing like more. I just keep coming. And I will never forget when at that age I was doing SCA
Right.
and I was basically being threatened, quote unquote, to stop writing to focus on SCA. Because my mama said, whatever school you pass for, you will go to it. And if you cry, I'll beat you.
Right.
But even in the middle of the night, I used to wake up just to write. I wouldn't wake up to study, but I'll wake up to write, you know. When it comes to the journals with the children books and the young adults,
Mm,
I basically bought 40 children books from my actual pets,
right.
Duchess Sky, which is my dog, and Coco Puff, the guinea pig,
Right.
and the miserable things they have done throughout the years, and I just created it into books.
Mm,
And well, with the young adult books, I write as I grow. So at the stage as a teen, a young teen, and then growing up into in my early 20s, I write for that age bracket. So I write for me, and then somehow it just branch out as to be a writer for everyone else.
mm. So you touched a bit on the adventures of Duchess in terms of, being written about your pets and so forth. Can you give a glimpse into the Unmasked series? What is that series about?
The Amass series is basically about three best friends,
Mm,
Destiny, Debbie, and Diana.
mm,
And, you know, I took elements from my own life and from what I observe because
right.
I'm from suburbs, Laventille. So basically, the environment I will use,
Mm,
the perceptions of what people may have concerning persons who live in suburbs, I
mm,
will use those. I will actually make up in situations and drama and stuff like that. It's not based on anyone's life,
mm,
but the environment of it all, just to show that family oriented friendship way.
mm,
And I just want to show that everyone are raised different.
right.
And then each family are going through something unique,
Mm,
or it may not be unique. And basically, when we are going through this example like death, how do we deal with it?
right.
And I am a person who like twists and turns. So I can't just write where the reader know, well, yeah, I know this coming, I know this going to happen, I know this going to happen. I like where they never saw it coming
Right.
because I like movies like that and I like books like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that book that book series basically follow the life of three best friends, Leslie, Diana, and Debbie,
Mm,
and what they are going through in their teenagehood. They're experiencing their first in good things
mm,
and in bad things, with things their family may suffer throughout, and just remembering that life happens to all of us.
mm,
Life just life, as some persons may
mm,
say. But
mm,
at the end of the day, we must stick together. We must always have our faith and just know we can get through anything. But there's so much drama in that book. I just want to, it's just, I want to say something, but I don't know if I'll be saying too much when it concerns that book. You will expect things that you never expected to happen then. Basically, expect the unexpected.
Interesting. So what would you classify the book as? A thriller, historical fiction, or just flat out fiction? How would you classify your book?
That's the thing. I don't really have it straight as a thriller or
Hmm.
as a straight romance. It
Hmm.
touches on different genres
A
itself.
little bit of everything.
Yes,
Okay.
a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
Comedy, romance, thrillers, suspense, drama all the way. As we Trinidad, we say bacchanal. So,
So your
yes,
your writing songs are obviously like most books there it's focused on compelling characters, right?
yes.
How do you approach creating these kind of characters that your young readers can connect with? What do you draw from?
Well, I don't know about the readers, but I love villains because
Mm,
villains makes the books worthwhile.
mm,
So although my characters more have a sweet side to them,
mm,
I have them in a way where when the readers like read about them or see situations, they put themselves in. It's like, why you do that? But to have a love-hate relationship with them then.
mm,
And then when the real villains comes in, it's like you can't stand them, but you need them because they want the plot
right,
to thicken.
right.
So and I draw reference from this by just I don't know, just I don't know how to explain it, but I would think to myself, what would make me like a person who would just make me upset, like I just want to punch them in the face. And I said, all right, I will create somebody worthwhile for that.
Right,
For example, the Unmasked Secrets, not the Unmasked Secrets, Love and Drama
right.
touches on the villain King Viper,
Mhm.
and King Viper basically wreaking havoc in persons' lives. But the way how his character is, the readers, the, those who read the book, they are in love with him. They can't stand him.
Right,
They don't want him there. But if he's missed, they want to know why.
right. Very compelling characters.
Yeah.
So you made history by launching 10 books at once. What was that experience like, and why did you take on such a monumental challenge?
I, again, I have been writing for so long,
Mhm.
and well, my parents aren't rich, so I have actually launched one book
Right.
in 2014, I believe.
Mm,
For it was a birthday present from my parents to me,
mm,
and we had no idea how to go about it. But
mm,
this time, when we launched 10 books,
mm.
it wasn't supposed to be 10. It
Oh,
was actually supposed to be three. That
mhm.
was my goal, just to
Right.
launch three books because it was so far, like at such a distance after the first publication. I said, you know what? I want to go big.
Right.
But I thought three was big. My
Hmm.
mother was the one who said, three books? Here, please. Why not seven? I
Mm.
said, seven. She said, yes, seven. Seven is God favorite number. I said, all right, all right, all right. And then somehow it turned out to be 10, which so happened to be 10 years since I published my first book, The Unmasked Secrets 1.
Okay, good, good. Nice. Very interesting story. And what was the experience like at that book launch?
Wow, it was full with love, support from family, friends, persons who I don't know. And the fact that it was so much sacrifice to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will tell you a little secret, I wasn't working.
Okay.
I went to university and I spent my time writing as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents,
Mm-hmm.
siblings, younger and older,
Mm-hmm.
saw what I wanted to do, and they stood by me and they fork out the money. They provided financially. And it took, I believe, the first financial step, well, with thinking, okay, Ayana, you're going to publish more than 3 books. How are we going to make money? How are we going to do this to make this into reality? I threw a barbecue for the
Mm-hmm.
first time, and the amount of overwhelming support I got, especially from young people. I'm talking about children who are going to school. They had no idea what it was for,
Mm-hmm.
but just the support, because I just told them I want to do something, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it so happened that my birthday is April 30th, and that barbecue was thrown, I think it was 2019, and I held it on the 29th. I held the barbecue on the 29th, and on the 30th, the entire country shut down for COVID. So God made a way. He made sure he at least kept that 29th open for me to do what I have to do. And not only family support, but I'm talking about friends as well who kept saying, "Don't worry, Ayana, you'll get through this, man. Don't worry."
Mm-hmm.
Even my editor, Miss Rosalind Carrington,
Mm-hmm.
she as well taught me things along the way. Although I'm a writer, I had was to humble myself and know I can be better.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I was born with the talent to write means to say, well, okay, I'm born with it, I'm perfect, that's it. But I had was to humble myself, and I had was to read books. The same books I didn't like to read, I had was to read them to get more wisdom, you know. I had was to apply myself. I had was to learn how to format books for Amazon, for print and ebooks version. And my editor, she made sure that I got the necessary wisdom concerning that.
Mm-hmm.
Even my lawyer, Mr. Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
he aided when it came to um, legal advice
Mm-hmm.
for one of my said books. Because, as a writer, you can't just go, although it is fiction, you have to ensure that the fiction is realistic as possible,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to certain things, when it comes to the legal aspect, and whether it be something with indoctrine or anything like that, you have to make sure you're on target, because there's all types of people who will be reading your work, and you don't want them to say, well, what kind of madness is this?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of fairy tale? Yeah, we know it's fairy tale, but it can't be, you know. So it was a team effort, I must say, and all glory belongs to God, because if it had not been for him, I don't know. And then to think my idea of going big was 3 books, and then it turned out to be 10.
Right.
That was so amazing. And again, I wasn't even working, but God made sure He put people around me to ensure everything was done. And that day was just amazing, just to be surrounded by the love and support. It was really amazing.
Yeah. I know many people write. We're sitting and listening and us talking here, there's somebody writing, but not many people will get to the publishing stage. So how did you go
hmm
about getting your book published? What was that like?
Well, I thought to myself, Ayana, you could go to a publisher, whether
Mm,
traditional or not so traditional, and let them publish your book for you.
mm,
And I
mm,
said to myself, why would I do that? If I'm planning to create a career in writing books,
mm.
till now until whenever Lord is ready for me, why
Mm.
not create your own publishing company? And
Okay.
that's what I did. I created my publishing company called Write On Ayana KSL John, where I would just be publishing my books through that. And then to start with 10 books, I said, why should I give that recognition to another company
Mm,
when I could do it on my own?
mhm,
And not really on my own, but with God.
mhm.
So for those who are writing at the moment, and then sometimes as writers, we just feel like if our books are not good enough,
Right.
I say to myself, I'm very, it hard, excuse me. It is very difficult to please me when it comes to books
Mm-hmm.
because you need to grasp my attention from chapter one. So
Mm-hmm.
if I could continue reading my own books, then I know my books are worth reading. You have to believe in yourself. You have to be a cheerleader. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if there's no one else, you have to know that you are good enough to put your work out there. It will be loved by everyone, but it have a crowd, it have a group of persons who will love it.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you write it is because there is a need for it.
Mm-hmm. Have a strong presence on both platforms, Amazon and YouTube. So how do these platforms help you connect with your audience, with your readers?
Well, the sad thing is, although my name on YouTube is right on Ayana, I don't
Mm.
think I've ever discussed anything concerning writing, which is terrible.
Well, you
But
know, we have an idea for your next episode or next video.
yes, yes, I probably uploaded yes, I did upload my book launch itself,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just allowing people to get to know who I am,
Right.
especially through my YouTube channel. So,
Mm-hmm.
I will show my pets, I will show when I go to Tobago or with family and such.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really strong there on that platform at the moment. Like I don't be there regularly, but this year I did promise myself to be more consistent,
Mm-hmm.
consider because life you just have so much to do. It
In life,
by
yeah.
the time you're ready to do a video, you're so tired and you're trying your best to put your best foot forward. Then you don't put it to say, oh my God, what is this? You know,
Right.
so it's like just slap a video, let's post it up. You want to be as good as possible.
Right. That's good. So let's talk a bit more about specifically the churches on the move, which is where I
Yeah,
saw you, delivering that tidbit or excerpt from your book. Um, it explores for people who are listening, spiritual resilience basically in the face of adversity, right? So, what message do you want to tell us about the book? Let me not do it. You tell us a bit about, the synopsis of that book, The Churches on the Move.
yeah, yes. And I just want to say before I say the synopsis is that I did not come up with that book on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I was in church, the worship team was praising and such, and I literally closed my eyes and worshiping, and I heard an audible voice say to me, "You are going to write a book, and you are going to call it The Church is on the Move." Literally. I opened my eye, look around, saw no one. Well, there were people, but you know, no one was speaking to me then. People were busy worshiping. I said, "All right, Lord, clearly this is you."
Mm-hmm.
And I knew it was him because all the books I've written, I have never got their names first. I've always written the books
Mm-hmm.
and then found a name for it.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard that now, and I closed my eye again, I continue worshiping. There's a scene that's in Churches on the Move that I literally saw visually, like I was there
Mm-hmm.
in in this scene, with angels. And it was like a whole combat situation.
Wow.
And after I saw it, I heard again, you are going to write a book and you are going to call it The Church is on the Move. I was writing a book at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and, coming down to the end of writing a next book, I think I had like 2 or 3 chapters before I finished it. But being lazy and procrastination, I was like, oh gosh, I said, all right, Lord, I will write Jesus on the Move. And I will devote all my time to that book. I will not write no other because I usually write 2 or more books at the same time. I said I will write no other books, but I will focus on Churches on the Move. Afterwards, then I will write a book. But help me finish this book. Get me
Wow.
out of this procrastination stage. Lo and behold, he did. I tried to run from writing that book because what I was hearing to write, I was a bit scared, because I knew what is in the book. A lot of persons may say, they may come up against me then. They may not like it, and I keep hearing it's not what they like, it is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to someone in church, a line church, and I visited her, and I said, I heard this from the Lord. What do you think? And she said, Ayana, if the Lord say write the book, write it. I said, yes, but I'm not really a strong Christian.
Mm,
I saw a pastor could write it. She
mm,
said, if the Lord tell you to write it, write it. I said, I understand, but there are people who are better than me that could write it. She said, if the Lord told you to write it, right? I given her all sorts of excuse, and that is sad thing. We
mm,
do not see the value in ourselves, and then we're always quick to pass it on to someone else because we think we are not good enough to do it.
mm,
And I believe some writers also struggle with that. And everything I told this lady, she just gave me it back. If the Lord said to write it, write. That's all she keeps saying. I said, all right. It took me a year to write that book. It
mm.
was the hardest year of my life because writing it, I am thinking about 3, 4, 5 different other books to write, and I just have to shut them down.
Mm,
And again, writers are people, their mind has be constantly on 4, 5 different things at the same time. They're
mm,
thinking about. And I will wake up in the middle of the night and write because I always sleep with a notebook and a pen next to me at all times.
mm,
It took me a year to write that book. Hard
mm,
was to pray and fast to,
mm.
and writing that book humbled me. I always heard pastors say, humble yourself before the Lord. Never understood what it meant.
Mm,
But after I wrote that book, I have found myself at a different level with God. It's like God was taking me through a process while writing the book
mm,
to be able to strengthen me in my faith. And that book is basically concerns the synopsis where there's a young pastor by the name of Isabella John,
mm,
where she is basically took possession of a church because the previous pastor was died. I mean, the previous pastor died.
all right.
Or should I say coincidence? Coincidentally died, know, who knows? Probably was murdered. And an atheist basically went up against her because he wants something that the church has.
Mm,
The church have a value that he wants. There's also a young believer named Ella. So
mm,
what I'm trying to show is different stages in our walk to Christ. So there's a young believer named Ella Pearl who's now getting to know who God is and even being bold in her space,
mm,
in her school to stand, for righteousness. The books even speaks about the different wars that is happening.
mm.
And it's so funny, but not funny in funny, haha, but
Yeah.
very ironic
Mm,
that I spoke about the wars, which is between Rastas and Muslims
mm,
in this book. And as you can see, our society today, there's a war between Rastas and Muslims, but who call themselves Rasta Muslim,
right.
you know? And I just wanted to show you different steps towards God. I want to show that although the people of God may look like if they don't have anyone standing with them, that evil could people who are doing wickedness for I just want to show that, you know, we may think that evil basically is running the show. Let's just say that, right?
Mm,
But at the end, God have the last say. And when God shows up for his people, he shows out.
mm,
It's just to remind Christians to stand firm in who they believe in, to bring persons who don't know God to come to know who he is. And know he's not just a God of judgment, but he's also a God of love, a God of forgiveness, a God of patience, and he cares for us so much that he will find you where you are to bring you up. So churches on the move, that book, my God.
So it's a book that explores a lot of, spiritual resilience, and you have unique themes of faith and resilience mostly. And then you have this, I think, exploring through this character, Isabella, an opposition from a range of forces. What made you choose these specific antagonists for Isabella to combat?
I wanted to show the truth in our world today.
Mm,
that not because you are someone who holds power, and I'm not talking about Isabel, I'm talking about others. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about it could be politicians, it could be someone who owns multiple business. Not because you're someone who holds power means to say
Mm-hmm.
you want the good for others. I want to show that these forces basically they will step on small men, they will abuse their power to get what they want, but they could only do so much. And although Isabella may not have the brute force that they have, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
she has God, and God don't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So what goes around comes right back around. And what you think you got away with then, you won't get away with it now.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when and the antagonist, these forces don't just come up against her. But remember, she was just in their way. But it was the church that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And they will do whatever it takes to get what they want. But they have to remember, just like they believe in their money, they believe in their power, they believe in their, machineries. Christians believe in their God.
Mm-hmm.
And who is more stronger?
Mm-hmm. And the book blends, it combines, it blends really nicely that faith and fiction very beautifully, as I think you were describing. How do you navigate writing these Christian theme stories, but also remain engaging for the young adult readers? How do is it intentional, if any? How do you go about doing that? Blending that Christian theme stories with remaining engaging for young readers.
Well, for Churches on the Move, I didn't really have a choice. I just write as I hear because I really had was to see God face.
Mm-hmm.
But for the other books, I thought about myself and what I wanted to hear or read and what will captivate me. And although I started writing for myself, it it branched off to if I could write just to inspire one young person to love to read, I have done my job. So it
Mm-hmm.
was basically just to inspire someone, just to get them into that world of, you know, being a bookworm.
Mm-hmm.
So I will write in that aspect just to captivate them every chapter to have them wanting more. Because that is what I wanted when I thought I didn't like to read.
Mm-hmm. So you have the characters Ava and Ella, I believe you mentioned, and they have significant roles in your story. How do their personal journeys contribute to those themes of faith and resilience that we see coming out in your book? I think you talk about Ella a bit, but what about Ava?
Ava, Ava was basically the opposite to Isabella, which is her cousin.
Right, okay.
And Ella was the young lady from their church.
Mm-hmm.
Ava, basically, she was is to represent those persons who are on the borderline between choosing God or not.
Mm-hmm.
Who say they want God, but they like their old ways then. And I just want, with her character changed drastically from the beginning to end
Mm-hmm.
because she grew so much and it took something so horrific to happen but for the change.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we may think bad situation in our lives may be the worst, could be the death of us. And God will take the worst and turn it to something good. So and Eva is, as I said before, is Isabella's cousin. When Isabella needed her, that is when she stood her ground and she was there for her. She was backing her. She wasn't there all the time, but when her cousin needed her, she stood with her.
Good. So what's next for you? Do we have another book in the works?
I would say other books in the works. And just to add to the information I now said,
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to show that although Isabella is a pastor, she needed people as well to stand with her. Because pastors, yeah, we may see them as strong, we may see them as men and women of God, but they also need a team of people who are praying for them and standing with them, to encourage them, to inspire them. And that is what Ava is to Isabella.
Very nice. And with that, I want my listeners to know that you empower minds and you ignite curiosity. Thank you, Ayana, KSL John, for joining us here on Lana the Educator.
Thank you so much for having me.